Hello creative mind, welcome to another sewing project where I'll be showing you how to make an underbust dress with gathers at the side. So this gather at the side can be really tricky, so if you don't do it properly you might not get the exact result that you want. So do well to watch this video to the end and see how I'm going to come about this. If you are new on this channel, you're welcome. My name is Marvel, and on here I share pattern drafting, sewing tutorial and everything fashion related. Thank you my old subscriber for constantly supporting this channel. I'm really grateful. So this video is going to be a bit lengthy because we're going to be drafting and sewing at the same time, and I'm going to be making use of a crepe fabric for this tutorial. You can make do with whatever fabric you have. So we're going to first draft out our full dress. I'm going to be adding a pattern to the down part later on to get my exact full length, but if you want yours to be short, this full pattern can just be what you need. So I'm just going to impute the basic measurements which we always do, that our bust point, under bust point, waistline, hip line, then the dress length, and I'll just basically be outlining everything out just like I'm doing in this video. So my dress length was about 40 inches. If you want yours to be short, you can do 34 or you can do even less, depends on what you really want. So I've gone ahead to label the lines I outlined for you to see them properly. So first we'll go ahead and impute our shoulder that I'll be working with, and I went down by 1 inch for shoulder slope. Then I went down by 8 inches and I marked it, and I drew that line which is now going to be serving as the chest line that we'll be working with for this dress. So what I have at the shoulder, I imputed it on the chest line so as to enable me to get an accurate straight line, and I drew the straight line across. Then I'll divide that 8 inches that I drew to get my chest line, and I marked it, and I went out by 0.7 inches and I connected to the top like I did there. Then at my chest line I imputed my round bust measurements and I connected it to get my armhole curve. So I'm just going to highlight the neck depth of, I used 4 inches for the neck width. Then I'm just going to impute my nipple to nipple measurement all the way to the hip line like so, and I will draw a straight line just like I'm doing. So at my hip line I went up by 2 inches. Then at my underbust I'll come down by 1 inch. Then at my waistline I went out by ½ an inch on both sides just to get my dart, which I'll be taking out later for the front. I just highlighted it so that you know that I'll be taking that out as we progress in this video. So for my bust points, I imputed my round bust measurements that I imputed at my chest line. I just marked it exactly there. Then at my underbust, I marked my exact underbust measurements. Then for my waistline, I did same, round waist divided by 4, and I marked it there. And I also replaced that 1 inch that I took out for the dart. So for my hip line, what I marked at my hip line is exactly what I'm marking at the dress length for this gown. Like I said, I'll just be adding about 4 extra inches at the down part later when cutting the full dress, because I want this dress to be about 40 inches, and what I have at my pattern paper is about 35.5 inches. So I just highlighted everything so you can see clearly. Then for the front neckline, I'm going with a V neckline of 8 inches. So I marked that 8 inches and I'm going to connect it to the shoulder just like I did here. Then I will curve the other side to my underbust. So at this point I noticed when I was cutting that I didn't curve it to my underbust, which I'm going to be correcting it later, and I'll show you how you can do it. So it's supposed to be curved to the underbust, not the bust point. So I'll show you how to go about that later. So I divided that point, my shoulder, by 2 because I'm going to be slashing and spreading the other part, the upper part, because there's going to be a little gather at that point, and I'll show you how to go about that later on. So my nipple to nipple measurement, I extended it to the length of my dress after adding my 4 inches pattern paper. Then at my hip line, I went up by about 3 inches. You can do 2.5. Then I curved it, so I went down by about 1 inch, which I later reduced to half an inch. Then I curved it to my hip line, just like I'm doing here. This is going to be the part where we're going to be slashing and spreading. So after adding my extra pattern paper to get my exact length of the gown, I went ahead to impute my nipple to nipple measurement all the way down to the length of the dress, and I'm going to be cutting the slash and spread parts out because I'm going to be using this same pattern to cut out the back as well. So just go ahead and label your pattern so you can understand when cutting on fabric. So next now is to go ahead and just before we cut out, I'll go ahead and impute the neck depth for the back. I'm going to be doing 1.5 inches. You can do 2 inches, depends on your preference. Then at the armhole point, I'm going to also impute the armhole I'll be working with for the back. So the armhole for the front, I used about 0.7 inches I came out by, but for the back I'll use 0.5 inches. So I'll just go ahead and connect it just like I'm doing here and label it. So that's for the back, and this other one is for the front. So I'm just going to go ahead and take out the slash and spread part that I labeled, and I'll cut the full dress out. Then I'm going to use this pattern to cut out for the front. So like I said, I adjusted that curve a little bit. I went up by half an inch again, and I just curved it down to the hip line. So basically I'm just going to go ahead and cut out just like I'm doing. So just observe how I'm cutting it out. So I'm cutting for the back first. I'll outline the neckline, the shoulder, and I'll cut out the slash and spread part as well. So I'll place the pattern on my fabric. I'll also label the slash and spread part, so I'll know the side that is going to be on fold. So just label it your hip side. So I placed this on my pattern for the back, and I ensured I have about 1.5 inches for my zipper. Then at the waistline I went in by 1 inches, and I'm connecting it with a curve, as it's going to help take out any gaping we might have at the zipper point. So I'll go ahead and cut out. At the side I left about 1.5 inches, then at the edge I left about ½ inches for stitching. So I'll just go ahead and cut out like so. So why I went very deep as 1 inch at the waistline is because of that I have there. So I didn't want it to affect it when I'm stitching on fabric. So for this other pattern, we're going to just modify it, cut out the neckline. We're also going to be cutting out the armhole curve, taking out the armhole curve for the back out. Then for the dart, I'm going to take the dart out, then I'm going to tape it together, tape the pattern together. Then at that side, remember I told you this side is to be curved to your underbust, not your bust point. I'll show you later on when I made the adjustment and how it should be. So just also go ahead and label this. Then for the upper part, remember I said you're going to be slashing and spreading. So for me, I'll just be slashing it just once at the center. Depends on you. You can slash it more than once. You can decide to slash it twice or even 3 times. So I'll just go ahead and close the darts just like I said I would before I place them on my fabric and cut. So it was when I was about to cut, after cutting this out, and I realized that I didn't curve it at my underbust, so I had to pin it together and adjust it. Please pardon me. This is how you should look like. So curve it to your underbust and not your bust point. So after I made the adjustment, I went ahead to cut it out, then I cut on my fabric. So this is how it should look like. So you can go as deep as about 10 or 11 inches for your neck depth if you want your cleavage to be exposed, but I didn't want mine to be exposed, so that's why I went by 8 inches for the depth of the V neckline. So after adjusting, I went ahead to cut out. So this is how you should cut on your fabric. So for the slash and spread part, we're going to slash it. So I slashed mine about 1.5 inches in 4 places. It totally depends on how many times you want to slash yours. So I slashed mine in 4 places, and after marking it, I cut it out all sides. So I'm going to cut everything out. So I'm just going to cut it out like this so as to enable me to cut out properly. Then I'm going to place this on my fabric. So your fabric, so what I used about 2 yards for this. I used about yes, 1.5 yard and 1.5 yard for this part. For one side, I think I did 40 inches on fold. I'm not really sure if it was 40 inches on fold, but it was very wide, so I fold it into 2 first, and I fold it again into 2 again, making it 4. So this other side, number 4, is my hip side, which is I placed on the side that is on fold. So this was actually what was left of the fabric, and I just decided to use it to cut out for the slash and spread. So the more fabric you have at this slash and spread, the more pronounced the gather at the side of the dress is going to be, and that is actually the beauty of this dress. So just go ahead and cut out. You can use as wide as 2 inches for each side, so that's 2 inches on fold for each side. Okay, so this is how I cut mine out. Then I notched the center of my slash and spread, and I made adjustments the way I wanted it to be. So just go ahead and cut out. If you have enough fabric, you can cut 2 yards for one side and 2 yards for the other side. So after cutting this out, I'm going to go ahead and keep it aside. I will also open it for you to see how it is, so that you will understand what I'm saying when I said I cut it on fold. So it's going to be on fold each, so you can see. So one is going to be for one side of my dress, and the other one is going to be for the other side, one for the left and one for the right side. So after we are done cutting, next is to go ahead and begin stitching. So the first step now is to go ahead and work on the back piece. So I also went ahead to cut out interfacing for the front and back piece of this dress. So from the back, what I'm going to do is to measure out how long I want my zipper to be, and I'm going to stitch down the rest of the dress. So I marked about 20 inches for my zipper. Then I'm going to close the rest of my dress all the way down. Then I'm going to turn out the neckline with my interfacing and fix my zipper. After doing this, I'll come and show you the next step. So voila, this is what it looks like by the time I was done. Go ahead and give your dress a very good press. You can see the zipper area, how neat is looking. Yours should look even more neater. So just go ahead and place like so, and the next step now is to work on the front piece. So the front piece, I'll just go ahead and turn out with my interfacing. Then I'll go ahead and gather my top. So I gathered it about 4 inches wide, so you can do more or less, whichever one. So what I gathered here was about 4 inches. I gathered it together. Then now I'm going to go ahead and stitch it on the other side of the front piece like so. So just place it and go ahead and stitch it. You can use your pen to just draw it out where you want to stitch to make it easy for you to understand. So this is what it looks like by the time I was done stitching. I went ahead to cut out any excess I might have at the side, and the next step now is to go ahead and join the front piece and the back piece by joining the neck, the shoulder. So I'm going to go ahead and join the shoulder first, then I also join the sides of my dress. I'll join the sides of my dress as well. I'll impute on my measurements and join the sides of this dress. So after joining the side, this is what it looks like. Our dress is almost ready. So the next step now is to work on our gathers. So I'm going to bring my fabric that I want to use for the gather, and I'm going to be showing you how we're going to go about it. So the first step now is to go ahead and stitch from the down part to that part that is curved. So from the down part, I will stitch to that part that is curved, and I'll also stitch the other side as well. So this is what it looks like by the time I was done stitching from down to the curvy part. You can see how it's looking. So what is left now is what we are going to gather. So there are two ways you can go about it. You can go ahead and gather your fabric to it, or you can go ahead and pleat it. But for me, I'm going to be pleating it little by little because pleating actually really works for me. But you can also do gathers, whichever one works for you. Just ensure that you do it neatly. So for instance, when you are gathering it, ensure that you are gathering it to the front and not to the back. When I mean to the front is that the gather is facing the front of the dress and not the back of the dress, so as to enable it to pop out. Then when you get to that part that you joined the side, ensure that the gather is very full at that point, so that it will enable the dress to pop out at the hip side. I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain, but just try as much as you can to gather it at the hip side so that it will really pop out. If I was using an African print or a fabric that is a bit very hard, it will really pop out well, or even this can pop out well as well. So just gather it neatly to the front. So I'll go ahead and stitch it, and this is what it looks like by the time I was done stitching. You can see how beautiful the dress is looking. So I'll do same for the other side as well. I'll go ahead and gather it, and I'll come back to show you the next step. So I'm done gathering the down part, that is the other side of this dress. So the next step now is to go ahead and work on our sleeve. I'm just going to be doing a very simple sleeve for this gown. So I'll just go ahead and measure what I have at the armhole, then I'll go ahead and cut my sleeve. Then this dress, after imputing the side gathers, but if you wear the dress, you realize that the sides are a bit longer than the middle. I'm going to show you how you can adjust it, but it really doesn't matter. You can leave the dress that way, it's actually going to come out fine, or you can go ahead and trim it. So for the sleeve, I went ahead to cut out for the sleeve. It's just a simple sleeve. I cut out for the two sleeve like so. So the next thing now is to ensure that they are aligning properly, which I'm actually doing. The length of this sleeve, the length that I want for the sleeve is about 10 inches long. Then I extra 1 inches to hem the down part of the sleeve. So I'm just going to mark where I want my sleeve to begin with. Then at the side, I went down by 4.5 inches, which is about my to curve for my bicep. So I'm just going to curve it to the top part, just like I'm doing, and measure to be sure that I have exactly what I need for the sleeve. Then I'm going to go ahead and impute again my round bicep to be sure that that's exactly what I have, and I'll mark for my allowance, and I'll cut it straight down. So it's just a straight sleeve, because I'm going to be adding an elastic at the tip of the sleeve to give it a little bit of pop. So I'm just going to cut out just like I'm doing here, and I measure to be sure I have exactly what I need for the sleeve. So next now is to go ahead and hem the down part of the sleeve. I'll just go ahead and close up the down part, and I'll come back to show you the next step. So after closing for the down part, this is what I have. I gave it a good press, and now I'm just going to go ahead and use my elastic and gather it 1 inches after the hem point. So my elastic is 10 inches wide long, so I'm just going to go ahead and gather it at the tip, close to the tip, not exactly the tip. So this is what it looks like. You can see how I did it close to the tip. It's just going to give the down part a little bit of pop. So it's to close the side of my sleeve. I'll close the side of my sleeve now. So after closing the sides of my sleeve, this is what it looks like. The next step now is to go ahead and fix the sleeve to our dress, and that's basically all. Our dress is ready. So by the time I was done fixing the sleeve, this is what it looks like. Go ahead and give your dress a very good press. So like I said, the down part, if you don't want the side to be longer, you can go ahead and trim it off, or you can actually just leave it that way. It's actually going to be very beautiful as well, but I wanted to make some adjustments. So what I did is to wear it on my mannequin, and I went ahead to trim off the sides just a little bit so that it aligns with the center. So just trim off. What I trimmed off was not, I think, about 1 inch or so. It wasn't really much because the difference wasn't so much. So by the time I was done, this is what it looks like. Thank you for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if it was helpful. Like, comment and share. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next tutorial. Bye.